Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I now have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Tissa Abeywickrama, Director General of the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society. Mr. Abeywickrama has been Chairman of the Tsunami Movement Task Force. In addition to being Director General of Red Cross, he also holds the position of Head of International Affairs Unit of the Sri Lanka Red Cross. It's an honor to have you today, Mr. Abeywickrama, and Red Cross has been a very steady partner in the humanitarian community in Sri Lanka.
Honorable Minister Basil Rajapakse, the Minister of Economic Development, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Mr. Subini Nandi, the Resident and the Humanitarian Coordinator of UN, the donors, the distinguished donors who are here today, and the distinguished senior officials of the Government of Sri Lanka, UN, NGOs, INGOs, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me pay my tribute to those who sacrificed their lives in the mission of rescuing others in natural, man-made disasters, emergencies and other circumstances in our country and worldwide. Also, let me take the opportunity to thank the United Nations for considering today to commemorate these colleagues of mine even. I must add, out of the 800 for Sri Lanka Red Cross, we have at least 10 of them, and we have the opportunity to commemorate them in a day like today. However, with honor, I express my gratitude to you and to the volunteers and staff of Red Cross and Red Crescent family for the passion and the dedication to engage in such situations. In a simple sense, a humanitarian is referred to as one who possesses traits of compassion for others by acts of kindness and giving. When it is considered in an institutional perspective, it is inevitably an organization with a vision and a mission to serve vulnerable people with no hope of reciprocity. In retrospect, in Sri Lanka, during and after the conflict, we, the Sri Lanka Red Cross, is broadly engaged in assisting the conflict-affected communities. My memories flash back the complex issue of the ship Captain Colorado with containers of relief goods in 2009. Our humanitarian diplomacy and the generosity of the governments Sri Lanka and India resulted in those relief goods being delivered to conflict-affected communities. I know this well because the Secretary General of Indian Red Cross and I were personally instrumental in this effort. Excellencies, this is just one of hundreds and hundreds of such occasions we have been usefully rendered our services, not only in shelter, livelihood, disaster management, health and care, and humanitarian value. Moreover, from the very early aftermaths of the conflict, on the guidance of Honorable Basil Rajapakse, I, with the President of Sri Lanka Red Cross, Mr. Jagat Abesing, visited the northern province and met government agents and authorities for deliberations on the assistance to internally displaced people through Red Cross post-conflict recovery program. Having gone through all those phases, with a humble pride, I say that we are delivering tangible benefits to those returning communities together with our Red Cross and Red Crescent partners. I salute governmental mechanisms of Sri Lanka and even the other countries the United Nations, NGOs, INGOs, and all others for their collaboration and resources that are being extended in our each humanitarian endeavor. Now, being sensitive to this occasion, I like to say that we all, as human beings, have humanitarian qualities by nature. However, due to many socio-economic and affiliated circumstances, other priorities emerge overwhelming these qualities. Affected by disasters such as tsunami, floods, droughts, epidemics, and other emergencies, challenges of vulnerability in Sri Lanka are yet to be addressed. Furthermore, restoring infrastructure and mobilizing returning communities to regain normalcy after a 30-year conflict is a daunting task. It requires systematically designed, well-coordinated, and carefully implemented programs, sir. Regrettably, these take longer time than we wish for. Being distressed and stretched by those disasters, and especially as a developing country, Sri Lanka is short of resources needed for an early recovery. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, dearest donors, therefore, I request you to join us to approach the most vulnerable communities with a solemn humanitarian service. In Sri Lanka, I believe we have a significant culture and a value system. It adequately supports us to be a humanitarian worker. However, victory cannot be credited unless humanity is secured there. Therefore, here I would like to reiterate a great saying of Sir Winston Churchill. I quote, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give." Let me quote again. We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in a global sense, humanity is not something practiced in an organizational context only. It can be individual, it is not impossible. Therefore, once again, let me ask you very sincerely and invite you to find the humanitarian in you. Let's be people helping people. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the civil society organizations and Red Crescent is a major partner in our journey, as I mentioned.